Hey, I'm back. Good afternoon, folks. Been a little while since I did a video, and I'm in a different town, different church, and this is John the Baptist Church, St. John the Baptist Church. A bit windy, so I don't know. Hopefully, you can hear it properly. I'll try and be loud and as clear as I can. Another church you can get into. The key. I have been, but it seems that there's nobody home. So it took me out. I can't get the key for this one as much as I really wanted to get inside because it looks quite cool inside. I've been around to take some photos through the windows and stuff. And yeah, it's another really stunning old church. It's such a shame, such a shame. These buildings aren't kept as well as they should be. You know, we're seeing that more and more nowadays as time goes on. Churches are being torn down and replaced with other buildings, houses, businesses, factories, mosques, all sorts of things, which is a real shame because it's, you know, it's history and it's stunning. Absolutely stunning. I been really struggling, recently with my just things in my life, personal issues and stuff in my life causing me problems with my mental health, anxiety, things like that. So I want to touch on that subject as well while I'm here. I'm just gonna go into the doorway because get out the wind, it's a bit breezy. So we'll get out the doorway and sit down and we'll have a little chat, and I'll just read you a little bit about the church. I'll just give you a view first from the outside in the old graveyard. So yeah, here we are, St. John's Baptist Church, which is a old Anglican church. Like I said, you can get inside, but I can't get the key for it. This really interests me. There's a enclosed tomb here, just on the side. Assuming that's someone who had some significance to this church at one point. So that was really interesting. Okay. Let's just come in here and sit down, get out the wind a bit. It's dirty and dusty it is. I'll just show you this quickly. There are photos. I have got a photo of this, but if you can see that, St. John the Baptist, Parsons Drove. So yeah, it's another really stunning little church. So I'm going to read you a little bit about the church, and then excuse me. Whew. It's a bit windy and chilly, as you can tell. So I'll read you this little bit about the church, and then I just want to have like I say, touch on a couple of subjects, because I had a bit of a interesting weekend, so to speak, and after speaking to a couple of people, some things were brought to my attention that I'm going to mention, but I'm not going to mention any names or people. But if they watch the video, because I'm assuming they've watched my other videos, they'll know what I'm talking about. So anyway, this is St. John the Baptist Church. Is a redundant Anglican church in the village of Parsons Drove in Cambridgeshire. It is recorded in the National Heritage List of England as a designated Grade 2 listed building and is under the care of the Church's Conservation Trust. The church stands at the east end of the village on the north side of the B1169 road, some 6 miles, 10 kilometres west of Wisbech. Now I'll just give you a quick brief history, very brief. The church was originally a chapelry of Leverington Parish. Its earliest substantial part, the north aisle, dates from the 14th century. Although there is a north doorway surviving from previous century, most of the fabric of the present church is from the late 15th or early 16th century. In 1613, the chancel was destroyed by floods. The south aisle was largely rebuilt about 1800. The south wall of the south aisle was rebuilt in the early part of the 19th century. St John's became a separate parish in 1870 because of increasing population growth. The second church, Emmanuel Church, was built in the village in 1872. In 1895, the nave roof was reconstructed. By the later part of the 20th century, there was no need for the two churches in the village, and in 1974, St John's was declared redundant. So they don't use it anymore, this church, which is a shame, because like I said, it looks like a really nice church, or was a really nice church at one point, and looks pretty interesting inside. I took some photos through the windows and had a little peer through, so, you know, it's a shame, because I did want to get in. If you haven't seen my previous video, I did one in the parish church of Elm, and I managed to get in there, and it was just amazing inside. It's just such a wonderful church, and you really get like this sense and feel of like you're in the past when you're in there. It was really, really interesting. I've just looked up and look at this whole look. This is the sort of thing I'm talking about with the old wood. Yeah, fabulous. Anyway, so yeah, St John the Baptist's Church, Parsons Drove, old Anglican redundant church. It's a real shame I couldn't get inside, but I'll try again another time and maybe do a bit of a longer video, whatever else. So while I'm here, like I said, I just want to touch on a couple of subjects and some things that were raised recently. As I said, I've been struggling personally with some issues, mental health, things like that. And I'm not going to beat around the bush. I've attempted now to take attempted twice over the last year to take my own life, and the weekend just passed I contemplated doing it for a third time. Fortunately, I had a dream about my children which prevented me from doing so. Mental health is a really, really big thing at the moment, it seems. Lots of people are really struggling, partially due to financial circumstances, living circumstances, work circumstances, or employment circumstances. You know, there's a lot of things that really get people's anxiety kicked off and started, and that they struggle with. What I want to say is, some people don't understand it, and I didn't understand it. For a long time, I couldn't understand it. I always, when I spoke about it with people, I said, where does that flip come? How can someone go from being a normal person to, well, say normal? What is normal? No, there is no normal anymore. But how can a person go from having a relatively sane mind to just completely losing their crap and wanting to obviously hurt others or hurt themselves or damage things, whatever, you know? Because there's all types of different mental health and people react in different ways. Some people hurt other people, some people hurt themselves, some people damage things, some people is a combination of everything. I've learned to kind of cope with that through Christianity, through the Bible, through, you know, reading scriptures and things like that. I said this before, I'm no genius at it, I'm not a scholar, you know, I'm not a priest or anything, or I'm certainly not a preacher, but I'm learning, and I'm learning more and more every day. I'm not one of these people who goes out blurting it everywhere, but this is one of the things I want to touch on. Apparently, it's been said that it's weird that I come to churches and I have an interest in old architectural buildings, especially churches, which I do. I like them. I think they're really pretty. You know, it's beautiful. The architecture is very interesting. I don't see anything wrong with that, and I don't see why other people see anything wrong with that. Each to their own, whatever. I'm not going to make a judgment on them people. They feel how they want to feel. It doesn't bother me. It's no skin off my nose. But what I will say is, don't judge people just because of their beliefs or their religious beliefs. No matter what it is. You know, people nowadays, especially with the way that everything is, look for something for comfort, for hope, for direction, you know, to help them, just to help them get by. Because times aren't easy. Times really aren't easy. And it's it's a stressful time for everyone. This century, this decade, you know, things are changing rapidly, technology, you know, industries, there's wars going on all over the place that you don't hear about, and politics, everything's really messed up at the minute. I am not a fanatic in any way. I am not a Jehovah's Witness. I do not go around preaching to people and pushing gospel and the Bible, even though, you know, really and truthfully, God and Jesus say that you should share scripture with your brothers and sisters, you know, get the word out there, the word of God out there. And there's ways of doing that without coming across as fanatical or pushy, you know. It's really bugged me over the last few days about certain things that people have said and how people have reacted about me and this subject, Christianity. Quite frankly, when I manage to speak to this person in person, which I will do, I'll be having this conversation with them to see what their problem is. I haven't got an issue with it. I haven't got an issue with you thinking the way you think or feeling the way you feel. Doesn't bother me. Like I said, no skin off my nose. I'm just interested to see what your issue is, because you've clearly got an issue. So we'll address that when we get to have our little chat. And I hope you watch this video, and I hope you hear this too. If not, I'm going to tell you to watch it when I see you. And I will mention that I've said this as well. There's nothing the matter, absolutely nothing the matter with believing in God in my eyes. As far as I'm aware, from what I've read, from what I've looked into, it all seems to be a pretty true story to me. There's plenty of evidence out there. I've touched on things in a couple of my other videos and said where there's evidence, you know, you can be seen, where it can be found and where you can look for it. Specifically, the Vatican. You know, why would the spear of destiny, which is what pierced Jesus's ribs and lungs, why would that be
Roman
inside the Vatican? Why would they have exonerated the Russian centurion who pierced him with the spear of destiny? I've forgotten his name off the top of my head. You know, but there's a big statue of this guy outside the Vatican. There's so many things, you know, so many 100 witness accounts from back in the days. Just lots of true stories things that have happened to people, even later on, years after Jesus' death, of miracles happening, you know. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, and I know not everyone's probably going to, buy into it. Not everyone will believe it. Everyone has different belief systems. But there's no need to mock people for their beliefs. And, you know, it even says in the Bible, God said, or Jesus even said, you will be persecuted for my name's sake. And it's true. I was looking into Christianity a long time ago, but I wouldn't have classed myself as a Christian. But now I would. And since making that declaration, since being baptised, since giving my life to Jesus, it seems that I'm under constant attack by certain people. Doesn't bother me, again, like I say, no skin off my nose. I don't care. You can feel how you want. I'm happy with it. You know, it gives me peace sometimes when I need it. It gives me some sort of hope that, you know, when I die, I will see loved ones, old friends, whatever, you know. And I hope that you know, that obviously is true and that happens. because no one really wants to die, not that I'm aware of anyway. You know, as much as life can be terrible sometimes and a real struggle, deep down I think really and truthfully no one wants to die. When you think about it, it's quite a scary thought, you know, to exist and to be here and see all these things, and then to think that what happens? Nothing. You don't know. It's like sleeping, but you don't know you're asleep, you know. And in the Bible it says it will be like a blink of an eye when he resurrects everyone. Everyone will die, you'll close your eyes, you won't know, the next thing you know, bam, you'll be awake again, and it will seem like you've been asleep for minutes, and it will be years and years and years. Who knows? You don't know until that day comes. But going back to mental health and things like that, it's not, you know, it's a really, really hard thing to cope with. People need to be more sensitive to the situation and sensitive to that subject that people, you know, the situation, sensitive to that subject and sensitive to the situations that people are facing and the troubles that they're struggling with, and talk about it more, because, you know, there's this big stigma around it, and a big stigma rather. Oh, I've got a missed call. Oh, I need to ring back. Right, anyway, so yeah, so just, guys, you know, mental health isn't easy to deal with. It's a real struggle, and struggling with it myself recently. Over the last year, I really realised now just how bad it is and how hard it is for people. And there is actually more and more help nowadays, slowly. More for women than men, but it's gradually getting better for men. I know they had the minute silence over the last weekend for men's mental health all over the country in football games, and everyone stood for a minute silence to reflect on that, which is great. You know, there's more and more charities starting to help men with mental health and everything else. I'm just saying people need to be a bit more sensitive to it and to people that are struggling with it, and try and help. It's easier to put a brave face on than it is to talk, but also talking about it, and I've said this before, talking about it again and again and again can also cause more suffering and more struggle, because no one wants to continue talking about a problem. You want the problem resolved. You don't want to keep going over the same thing, and you know it's not being resolved. So if you know someone that is struggling with mental health, talk to them, but don't push too much. You know, ask them how they feel, how they think they could resolve the situation, or what would make it better, and try and help them take the steps to do that. Yeah, so that's it from me for now. Like I say, hopefully next time I can try and get the key and we can get into the church and see what's inside. I'll give you a little bit of history. I'll put the pictures up at the end from all around the church. I hope everyone has a good day. Anyone struggling out there, be strong people, keep your chin up, you know, go and get help if you need it. It's nothing worse, and you know, there's nothing worse than doing what you're doing. And don't think of hurting yourself is going to make the matter any better, because it's not. At the end of the day, all you do is make other people suffer with the pain of your loss, or you know, you hurting yourself. And that's really resonated with me more over the last week than ever before. So yeah, guys, that's it from me. I hope everyone has a good day. Obviously, God bless. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.